All right, so I'll just start with share my screen, and that's because there are a couple of people who aren't available for the first meeting, but they will be joining at another time. So can everybody see the 221 website?
Yeah.
Okay, so for this first meeting, what I've done is if you click on helpful links, I've actually just put a couple of links on our website so that you can access the material. So we've got the training week 1. This is the, I think a lot of you would have got this link for the Salesforce admin training program. So that's a quick overview of these are the weeks, these are the dates, this is the high level topic. Be mindful that this is an evolving program. It is free. I'm working on the agile or just-in-time method of creating a lot of the content the week before. So while you're doing your homework, I'll be creating some of the content. If you click on this week 1 link, you'll see the things that we're going to go through, and it also gives you the ability to really jump online. Probably on the weekends, I'll be uploading it for the next week, so that if you've done everything that you want to do for that week and you want to look at the next week, you can jump on the website and just grab the next week's content. So I just want to have a quick talk through about what the exam is, what the outline is, the preparation, so that there's a whole bunch of accounts for Salesforce that I would recommend that you set up. Then there's some theory, some Trailhead units that you can go through at a high level to understand what Salesforce is, and then a couple of key projects to get your hands dirty and start to build something. This first one is supposed to be light. It is supposed to be the gentle introduction, and so that if you choose not to do the certification route and you want to run away, you can do that without any problem. So you can do that now. So I don't. That's not a request to jump offline. So don't do it just yet. But a couple of, and you can see the links here. So I'll just jump straight through to the administrator. So if you want to find information about the exam, what we'll be focusing on is this will effectively be a lot of your homework. So the prepare for your Salesforce Administrator credential, that trail, you can click on this. There's a whole bunch of free training in here, and you can see that just going through it, I've gone into an incognito window because obviously I've finished a lot of these. I wanted to show you from your perspective. So understanding what the exam is, understanding each of the sections of these exams, so you can see configuration and setup. If we jump over here to the exam outline, you can see that that's one of the headings. So this content, this training material, is all about breaking it up into sections so that you would understand, like for instance, user management and things like that. So it's very much about how the exam is structured, what I'm trying to do as well. And I'll show you back, I'll jump back to this admin program. It's not breaking it up into the same structure as that exam breakup, but it's following more of a practical sense. So you'll understand what I'm trying to do is the introduction, then using the Salesforce tasks. So they will be emails, tasks, opportunities, the basic objects. So how you would use Salesforce in a day-to-day environment for those people that don't have a high level of experience. Then it's about creating fields and objects. We will actually be creating our own app. An app, and if you want to cheat, there are some examples online where you can create an app in less than 10 minutes, a Salesforce app. So, but we will be going through that and I'll be explaining more details. Then you've got your screen layouts, then you go into automation. So you've got lots of the building blocks. Then you go into data importing and exporting, reporting, security permissions, and then you actually start to look at Salesforce have these clouds. And so you have functionality for marketing, sales, and service. We'll go into those different clouds, specifically sales and service. Then we'll look at extending Salesforce regarding App Exchange products. And then we'll prepare for the exam. So it's 12 weeks. The idea is that we meet, we have some kind of structure for that hour. There's probably about, if you go to look at the number of hours for this, let's jump back. You can see that that's about 44 hours. So you probably will find that's not extremely accurate for 44 hours. There will be some things that will take you slightly longer. You'll get stuck on a problem, and there's a lot of things that will take you a lot less time. But it's about finding where those gaps are. So if we go to the exam guide, this is a bit of a duplicate of what I've got on the web page that I've uploaded. And so this is where you'll find most of the information about specifically about the exam. You have 60 multiple choice questions, 105 minutes, pass mark 65. What I strongly suggest to people is that don't feel like this exam is a one-time only exam. So while you don't want to set up to fail, sometimes you have bad days, sometimes you have tricky questions, sometimes you have, some things, sometimes you just have a bad day. There's a common expectation in the community that you don't pass every exam, and you learn just as much when you fail as an exam as to when you pass. When you pass and fail, you don't get feedback on exactly where you've gone wrong. So it's very tricky sometimes to understand how you can improve. But that's where having a community and being able to have those discussions, it really does help. So that's why I'm trying to keep these groups local, and in similar themes. So you have all just introduced yourself with similar backgrounds. There is an avenue on the page. I'll jump back and I'll jump around a little bit in this. If I go to the training week 1, I'm going to jump down to the bottom here and say one of the things that we will discuss is there will be a Slack channel. So if you sign up to this Slack channel, you can post a question and we can provide feedback. So if you get stuck on something and you don't understand something, you don't have to wait until the next meeting to get feedback. You can jump on to Slack, ask a question, and we can help out one another. I'll just quickly go down to, and again, there's a whole heap of materials here. What I'd like to do also is highlight what Trailhead is. Trailhead is Salesforce's free training platform. I'm one of the to-do items is to make sure that you have a Trailhead account, that you sign up for the exam, the account for the exam. But when you start with Trailhead, I believe that there's about 1,600 badges now. So part of the challenge will be finding the content that is relevant for you. It's a common question to say where to start. Quite often it is, you've got a question about a specific thing. One thing will lead to another. You have these trail mix. So I'll just jump straight out to that. So when it loads. So Trailhead you have trails, trail mixes, modules, projects. So a module is one of these. So I'll just go into this platform basics. There's a bunch of questions. You will go into each of these modules. It will have content. Oh, I'm not signed in. But down the bottom, you have multiple choice questions, and you will also have, so once you've passed and answered everything correctly, you will proceed to the next part. You'll have multiple modules will create a trail, and therefore a trail is used to define what a learning path is. So you might have lots of little modules regarding security, and in that trail that will guide you from one place to another. A trail mix is your own version of that trail. So I might decide for these training programs that we create our own trail mix, and that trail mix is what we follow. I can do that later. Trailhead Academy will be the official Salesforce training, so that you can go in there and do exams. Career paths, that's something that you might want to look at regarding whether you're more inclined to be a developer or an analyst. There's multiple different ways of working within the Salesforce ecosystem. The other thing to mention is projects. As you see here, it says step-by-step instructions. So what a project will do is that it will tell you what the desired outcome is. Then it will tell you step by step how to achieve that. Projects are really helpful for getting an understanding of the platform from an exposure perspective. You'll be able to go through all the different screens, and from the screens, you'll start to get an understanding. You'll follow some tasks. It's very prescriptive, and that's part of the good and the bad thing. To fill that gap, if you come over to credentials, they've got these super badges where they don't actually tell you how to do something. They ask you, it's very much like a business scenario where you've got a business outcome that you want to achieve, given this is the background, this is what needs to be done, go and do it. And so the prerequisites for a super badge are the modules and the projects, so that you understand the theory from the modules, you've got some real world experience from the projects, and then you put the theory and the step-by-step application, and then you get a scenario that they don't tell you exactly how to do it. So you've got to figure it out. So it's a really well done platform. The only criticism is that they will get you to do it their way, which if you, I've spent a couple of many hours trying to find that I've put a full stop in the wrong spot. And that's because you've got the automated testing. So you click a button, it checks the answer. If you've got the answer wrong, or it's not the way that they're expecting, they'll return an error message to get you to fix it. It's a fantastic tool for learning. As I mentioned, there is about 1,600 badges. There are some people in the world that treat it like a challenge and do have those 1,600 badges. But there are some levels, and I think Ranger is, Mike, is it 100 badges and 50,000 points? He's not nodding. I think he's gone to sleep. So anyway, so I would strongly suggest signing up. There are some other things here. So for instance, My Trailhead gives you the ability to customize Trailhead so that you can run your own, you can create your own content and run your own courses. Trail Tracker, you can decide that at your organization, everybody needs to do a particular super badge. You can create that there. This is just a great tool. So It came about in about 2015, I believe it was, and it's just been expanding and expanding. And there's a couple of other companies that have duplicated it because it's so good. I'll jump straight. So you can see here, there's a practice test. There are those super badges. So the idea is if you go through that trail mix, you understand the theory, you've got some practice, you can try these super badges and they will throw you into the business scenario of, I'm not sure exactly how to do it. I'll have to work on that and get to the outcome.
Sorry, if I interrupt, sorry, Kel.
Please.
As complicated and as many badges as there are, the Trailhead does also really focus on the administration side of things. So the Salesforce Administration exam does have very specific things that it asks you for, and the Trailhead program does very much highlight what those modules are, what you kind of need just to start studying for them. And with a sort of intense program like we're planning, the more you can sort of work that out, the better throughout the weeks coming up. Yeah, that's it. Sorry, I was putting potatoes in the oven.
Oh, okay. It's going to be a good lunch at work, I believe. He's not there, he didn't hear it. And so with the exam outline, we will be going through and checking off a number of these items. So you can see that configuration and setup. We will have, and I think you saw before on Trailhead, there's one unit that says maintenance of users. There are key things that, and I haven't done the admin exam for, I think I passed about 4 years ago, but there's some key, there's some key concepts that you know that you can't delete a user, you know that you need to freeze them. There's a bunch of things that are just key concepts that you can remember, and they just stay consistent. The use of profiles and permissions, that's another thing that we'll go through. But what I'm going to try and do is that I'm going to try and focus on not the setup, it's starting to use it. Once you start to use it, then you can build upon that. It's a lot more relevant that you can build your own app and start using it to track. It might be what you had for lunch every day or something like that. If you've got an app that you can build something that you want to focus on and build upon and just practice with, you'll get more out of it. So you can see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 topics. They're all roughly even. There's no one that's bigger than 20%. So you can see, and we'll go through these in more detail. This will be covered in the third lesson or meeting or whatever we decide to call them. You can see that automation was already one of those ones that was supposed to be about week 5. Reporting, we will cover each of these items, and during the exam prep, we will just make sure that some of these are tricky. So given a scenario, I'll come up with some scenarios and ask questions. Before I go back, is there any questions about the exam? No questions. Excellent. Okay. So what I've just covered is you've got the links for the training content and the exam guide, the basic stuff of 60 multiple question. There are 5 non-scored questions. What they do is that they create those 5 non-scored questions because they want to test those questions. They don't want to keep the same questions in the bundle. They want to keep evolving. If they want to make sure that those questions are fair. They're not ambiguous. Some of the questions, we all have problems with the double negatives at times that sometimes are in the exam questions. where the wording of the question is actually trickier than what they're trying to ask. Those 5 non-scored questions are specifically in there so that they can test the water before. And I'm going to jump down. So as you saw, the exam outline, if you do have any specific questions about that, do let me know. Training preparation. So the reason why I said that there was no preparation required for this exam is there's a lot of signups that you need to do. So first off, to be able to get you an exam voucher, I need you to sign up for the exam. Well, so what it is this is the company that allows you to book the exam. The exam can be either virtual, so online, or you can go into a testing center. What they used to require was an external USB camera like this one that was 1 meter away from you at 90 degrees so that they could see behind you and make sure that nobody was around, making sure that you weren't using your iPhone or iPad with a browser open. Now they've relaxed that, and because of COVID, they've suggested that they understand that not everybody has those and not everybody has the ability to go to a testing center. You can book online and you can use the camera, as I am doing, as we all are doing, in front of your laptop. So that means that what they do is, if you are wearing something like a watch and they see it, they will stop the exam and they will correct it. If there's any signs that you are cheating or not complying with the fairness rules of the exam, they will terminate the exam. It's not a good look. I don't know anybody that's done it, and it's just not worth it. So there are also, on that topic, there are also exam question dumps and things like that are online. You're not supposed to look at them, but even if you do, I wouldn't trust them. So the whole point about this process is that it's the learning that is the outcome. There's no point getting the certification if you don't know what you're doing, because you just get found out. And those exam dumps, there's no way to tell whether they're the right answer anyway. So so the other thing, sign up for Trailhead, sign up for a developer account. So I'll just open this up. When you jump onto Salesforce and you start a trial, that's a 30-day trial. That will put you into the sales funnel, and they will give you a call and say, we want to check how you're going. We want to see whether you're interested in buying this. So developer salesforce.com/signup. This gives you a free developer account that only expires if you don't use it after, I think it's about a year. So if you go into that same developer edition, you can learn, you can practice, and it won't expire while you're using it. I strongly recommend that if you sign up for this, it's just handy to sign up for all of these accounts at the same time. I do recommend that you use a personal account, not a work account, because it's really tricky if you are signing up with your work account to transition all of these accounts through. And sometimes they will become, if you forget, they'll become deactivated, and it's really hard to reset.
Can I interrupt on that one, just in regards to identity?
Please
do. The basic criteria for sitting the exam remotely is a biometric facial scan. You normally had to have 3 points of identity, but currently it's really just they take a picture of your face. You do need to have an email, as Kel said, but I also do recommend starting with your personal one. And it's not hard to just merge any credentials that you achieve with your main with another email, basically, if you want to link it to your work email after the fact. So yeah, for this sort of situation, if you're still really not sure about it or just want to start playing around, it's possibly just better to use your personal email. And then, as I say, link it to your work one after the fact, which is not a problem. Thanks.
Cheers, mate. Signing up to the local events. So point number 4, this is a link to the Trailblazer community groups. Strongly suggest that, again, you use this once you've signed up with all of your accounts. You can join up to the admin group. I don't know when the next meeting is running. Let's just have a quick look. So you can see that there's been a bit of a gap between drinks. So we did run a meeting in June. They are having conversations. So Carl and Darren are having conversations about when the next meeting is. If you join this group using that button there, you'll be notified of when those meetings are. The idea is that with this admin group, they run it every 3 months. So there should be one before the end of the year. And it's a really good way of getting everybody locally to catch up, network, and things like that. So there are some other groups. The developer group is the one that I run locally. The marketer group is the marketing cloud group. I don't think that I haven't run a meeting since the start of last year. The non-for-profit group has gone dormant, is looking for a new lead, I believe. The women in tech group, I don't believe they've run an official meeting. They ran 2 unofficial meetings, but there's no meeting schedule. But it really do recommend that if you are interested in those groups, that you do sign up. Great for networking. Just really, one of the strengths of Salesforce is the community feel. You can post questions online and people will quite often answer it just out of goodwill, because they know that they've struggled at once and then somebody's helped them, so they'll pay it forward, and it just creates a cycle. What they call the community groups are, or the community is referred to as the Ohana. And so that Ohana is really one of the strengths of Salesforce and how it's been able to thrive. I mentioned before about the Zoom, the Slack link, and if I will just drag that up. Give me a moment. I will. Oh, there's a lot about Gavin. So the Salesforce Perth group over here. There was, so you can see there's a bunch of people that, so Holly signed up this afternoon. We use this a lot for, as you can see, 2019. So when I was running Trailhead Tuesday meetings and Salesforce Saturday, we were using this a bit. And a lot of the people have left the ecosystem, but this Salesforce Perth group, there's a link there, join up, and then that way everybody can chat. This is really supposed to be just an open opportunity for people to collaborate if they choose. Training projects. So for training theory, so that there are a couple of Trailhead modules that I've recommended to start off with. It's really about the look and feel. If you've used Salesforce before, they're probably going to be very basic. But again, every time you do these, you might learn something slightly new, some terminology or something like that. The training projects, these are 2 hands-on ones that aren't too scary, but will give you an understanding of the look and feel. They're helpful. They're tricky enough to give you some grief, but at the end, you have a workable outcome. By no means feel like this is the limit of what you should do, but this is the recommended, I guess, minimum that we can all discuss and communicate. wow, something just fell down outside. What I'm going to do now is that I'm going to stop the recording. The recording was for other people who are missing this meeting, unfortunately. And then that way we can start with some questions. I'm going to stop the screen share and I am going to pause recording, and we can have a bit of a conversation about anything that I've discussed, and you just let me know how I can help. Okay, recording will